Hello, how we doing? Gonna do another peening video. I've got a new sort of, well, system in a way, and well, I've just tinkered with my little system. So I thought I'd show it off. I've got a new little anvil as well that I kind of bought, and then I've made something else for it as well, so it's better suited. Make sure I've got my peening hammer. Yes, got my peening hammer. Peening hammer actually does need a polish. I should have done that yesterday. Never mind, it will do, it will do. So, well, what we got new, well, I've got a new tub for my bits and bobs. Finally, I am getting what you could call sort of organised. I don't need that out anymore, I've got enough of that. But what I have got is got this. Try and get it in camera. It's a beautiful little anvil stake. And it really is pretty good. So before I was using what I thought was an old railway track, like a model rail. Well, it weren't, was it? Silly Billy me. It was actually a car repair dolly, they're called. And it's for banging out bloody dents and stuff and forming metal to reshape the car and whatnot. And what it was doing is it was marring the top when I was peening like brass. So I knew it weren't hardened, and because of that it was doing my head in. So anyway, I see this and I thought, well, that's pretty, and then it come with this as well. I could have quite easily made this, but it saved me making it, so I bought that. And it's really nice to peen on, but like, I'm happy it's got this round bit and obviously it's got this flat bit, but there is a but. I wanted a high dome one of these. So I've been looking, and they're bloody dear. Whether it's they're rare, but even if you buy them new, like only certain companies kind of make these now, and they're dear basically. Like, they were like, cheapest ones I found were like 40-50 quid. Some of them were up to 120. So what have I done? Well, I've made my own, haven't I? There you go. I've got numerous old ball peen like hammers laying around, so I found one that I thought was suitable, and yesterday I finished it off. And to tell you that this bit was hard to cut is an understatement. It's actually broke my grinder. It was on the way out anyway, like I did the bushes, and yeah, it was on the way out, but yeah, it spelt the death of that. And I polished this end up yesterday and it's beautiful. It's got a lovely little shine to it, and it fits in here very, very snug. There is one way that fits the best, so we have to try and just give it a little sort of tease. He says I shouldn't have took it out, should I? There you go. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So yeah, first go using. Man of 1,000 taps. Here we go. Right, so I've got all my bits and bobs together. I've got my mock-up tool. I'm making these now because them ones are all bent and nearly done. I've got my little pivot spacers, washers, whatever you want to call them. And then I've got my little collars that I had made at the CNC shop. And what we got for you today? Well, I've got a rather special razor for you. It's a Joseph Elliot, so not even Elliot and Sons. So it was before 18, or let me try and think. I think it was 1857. I'll double check that. But yeah, it's around there. I put this tape on it to protect the edge. It come with these sort of, well, they're not horrible, but to my liking they're not very nice. I don't know what wood it is. It feels very light and it's a strange wood. I don't know what it is. It's not an oak or anything. I don't even think it's a hardwood because my nails marring it very easily. Yeah, so I couldn't be having that. And then my friend from Friendship Shaving, Mark, he sent me a package with some bits and bobs, and he wanted some razors honed and scaled. But he also had these scales in there, and I am very, very fond of horn blonde scales. So when these come in, I was like, whoa, save them for something special. Well, here we are. I think this is justifiable special enough. It is nearly 30mm wide, so it is a true chopper for Barbers use. And I've been after this shape of for Barbers use now for probably about 10 plus years. So like stiff grind, like a full Barbers notch, like a big one, and then this sweeping heel that I just love on razors, full stop. The edge basically matches the spine still. The reason I've taped it as well is because I ran a few laps one evening up to 2000, and to say it runs laps like an absolute gem is an understatement. It really is. I put a piece of 3M 33 plus tape on it, marker penned it, run one lap, looked underneath the scope, and it was hitting apex most perfectly. There was the most tiniest bit of sort of apex damage up here that come out quite easily as well, excuse me, because it was kind of hitting the apex all the way along straight away, man. So it's just a beautifully well made razor. I'm not sure whether this is a regrind because it's a Joseph Elliot, not Elliott's and Sons. It's quite an old one, so I wouldn't be surprised if it started out with a bit of a thicker grind. I don't know, obviously I don't know, but I don't care because it's my favourite. It's my favourite grind, stiff grind, favourite sweeping heel, thumb notch, plenty of weight to it. So let's get going. I'll sell me over for Barbers use now. I've had, I don't know, 3 or 4 Barbers use now, and I missed one, and now I've got 2. So yeah, I only want one, I'm not greedy. Right, so we made the wedge. The wedge took quite a while to make. I'm not gonna lie, it really did. I basically I had to get it so it was a very sort of finite width, and I need to get some more brass because I've got 1mm, 2mm, and I think I've got 4mm. I need to get 3mm, don't I? Because that's about 3mm. So I started off with a 4mm on my diamond plate. Took ages to get it to the shape, and I'll show you why in a minute. But let's just put this together. The one end anyway at the moment. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, I'll show you why the wedge was so important to this. Because these scales come bloody hell, I can't get out now. These scales come sort of pre-shaped as they are, so I didn't make these scales. Much to my delight, in a way. I'm going to do a video about how you make these mock cut tools as well. I made some the other day, but I've not got them with me at the moment. I left them at my mate's house. Right, we'll just mock it up so you can see. If I can pick that up, there we go. I believe that's the right way. So when you make your wedge, there's a couple of important things to at least bear in mind. So this part here, this end, the fat end we call it, it needs to be a specific width. Too thin, your razor won't go in far enough. Too fat, your razor will go out the other side. So in this particular case, because this is a great big chopper of a razor, I had to be a bit cautious because I didn't want it to come through the bottom, did I? Especially at the heel there, that's generally the place it likes to come through first. There's a bit of spring in that, but we can get that out afterwards. I'll tell you how to do that in a minute as well. So yeah, because that was too fat to start with, it had a beautiful sort of like wedge angle on it, but because it was too fat, the blade was coming out at the bottom. So it took me, well I ain't kidding you, it probably took me about a bloody hour just to sort out the wedge. But it's something you've got to do, you see, so it's very important that you do it. You know, it's just one of those things and you can test whether it's centering well enough. That's a bit over to the right, but I'm not going to worry about that because we can sort it out afterwards with a bit of heat, bit of water. What I'll be doing with this afterwards, I don't know if I filmed it or not, but is I'll be heating up the horn and I'll be shaping it to the razor a bit, because I don't know if you can see it, but look, there's a little bit of spring in that, and what that is it's just a little bit tight around this shank area here, but no bother, we'll sort that out. A bit of heat and you just sort of mould it like this, and it moulds to the razor, and they look lovely as well like that. It really sort of fits like a glove. It really is almost like a wet moulded sheath in a way. That's one of my little spikes that I make, they always come in handy. Right, let's have a little look then. So we'll keep the pivot end as is with the mock-up tools. I was really pleased with how my ball peen come out. It took a bit of work to get it. I wouldn't suggest it's the most feasible thing to be doing. If you can find one cheap, just buy it. But double hard metal, you don't get metal made like that much anymore for those kind of tools, you see. You know, everything's mostly cast nowadays. That would have been made by a blacksmith, I imagine. I've got some new brass pin stock in the week, and it's quite tight for most of my there we go. I should have prepared that Blue Peter style, shouldn't I? Ooh. What about baby? Come on, come on. There you go. That's enough. It's quite fiddly work with all these little collars and whatnot. But once you've done it a few times, you'll get your eye in. Completely flat on one side. Yeah, it's quite tight on my collars there. That's the problem when you get new sort of pin stock. There we go, it's got it down. Yeah. Yep. Should have had my little, brought my little vice out there as well, because could have still done with that really. Right, that's about. Oh, it's very slidey. Just want to ping that over ever so gently, so I can push it through on the other side. It's probably a bit much. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Right, I reckon I'm going to have to file this down a bit, but we'll go for that. That really is sliding, man. You always know if you're hitting it kind of in the right spot. Because you'll hear the sound. And if you got it too far over it, just want to keep sliding off. And I'll do a mixture of both moving the razor around and the hammer, really. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to file a bit off, but I like to get the peening going, whatever, and then I find it easier to file off then. Get a nice little dome going on. Yeah, see the wedge is still very loose. Let's just double sure, yeah, I've got the wedge the right way around. Barely any pressure, just the weight of the hammer basically. It's kind of always meant to be moving, whether it's your hand or the hammer. Don't focus on one place too much. So the wedge is starting to tighten. And one of my aims is to try and splay, mushroom the end over. So when I do my final finishing, the piece of peening rod disappears into the collar. That's always my aim. It's tightening slowly, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and carefully release a bit of the sort of pressure of the dome. Because it don't matter how much you tap it, especially at sort of the power we're tapping at, it'll get to a certain point where it just won't really tighten anymore. And when it does that, you've basically got no option but to file a bit of the dome off the mushroom. That's why it's always better to start off a little bit longer and shorter. I actually did one a few months ago that I did too short and it ended up going through the hole. I was a bit, So let's get tapping. This phase as well, I kind of try and focus on the outside of the dome, my little mushroom now, especially after you've sort of done it flat again, because you've got a wider flat top now than like your initial stock. So look, hopefully you can kind of see that. It's quite a bit wider now than that, the diameter. And because I've done it so it's flat again now, you've almost got like a fresh start on your mushrooming. I find peening kind of as a subject quite fascinating, I'm not going to lie. Right, wow, it feels pretty tight to me. We'll give it a little bit more. I had these little washers and everything kind of designed with being able to bend them in mind. So for instance, this razor, the scales are quite domed. So because I've been focusing around the edge, I've slowly bent it to shape basically. Right, well I can kind of tell by looking at it that I believe that it's going to be pretty good, and the wedge is pretty solid. You know, sometimes through the passage of sort of time and the moisture and whatnot, a razor wedge might release a little bit, but if that's the case, you just peen it again. It's not perfectly centered. Like I said, it's over that way a little bit, but good enough. It's my razor anyway, so I'm not too fussed about that. I've always sort of trained myself to automatically be cautious. Hang on. Somebody's calling. Gonna have to stop and start again. It was an allotment person. I'm on a committee of an allotment and I'm meant to be the secretary, which I am, but I'm kind of not at the same time. I'm too busy to do it properly, I guess. What was that? Yeah. Knew you was going to do that. I try to always try and hold that bit together to make it a bit easier. But alas, it did not work out. Right, let's make sure I do the end of this. When you chop your peening stock, yeah, that's what I mean, they're all bending and buckling. That's why I've started making my own now. Brass, don't last forever. Right, well I was going to try these ones first. But I have got some smaller ones if they look a bit garish or out of place. No, I'm happy with that, because rather stupidly when I was drilling, when you're drilling horn, you've got to be careful on the back side, because I put these together and then drill them, because you can blow the face off, and I did a little bit there, so it kind of covers it, a tiny bit showing, but also it makes sure it stays in place as well, because horn's nothing but like layer upon layer upon layer, you see, so it can split like that. But I was a bit silly when I did it. I should have put something underneath it. Yeah, I think that's going to be alright. Let's try and push this side down a bit. Yeah, and if you notice your pin stocks on hole a little bit tight for your tolerances on your other gear, you can put a piece of pin stock in a drill with sanding paper and just with the sanding paper with a drill on, and it'll make it smaller. I think I might have to do that on the odd occasion. Well, I say that it's all right. I do like it. It's nice and tight though. Oh, there we go. Because like I was talking. Yeah. At least I've noticed. What a donker. There we go, look. Cool, I'd have been bloody annoyed if I'd have made it all. Right, yes. So we're somewhere there. Ooh. Yeah, that side's nice and tight. And again, I just like try and burr the edges over. So I can gauge what to cut on the other side. And as you get more experience of this, you just kind of gauge it basically. But I always say about an inch, a mil. Yeah, it's a little bit too long, but the same again. So try and push it so it's proud on one side. See, the surface is staying quite, well, near perfect. I just need to make sure I do that next time I do it. I had all the gear out yesterday as well. Silly Billy. Yeah, that's got a nice little sort of domed head on that now. That's it. Push what you've got left through the other side. Yeah, and that's a good amount. Look. Yeah, that's quite good, that is actually. Yeah, it's loose, but you can feel that it's going together. Sort of check both ways, both angles. Nothing sticking out. I've not even got any little, them sharp little edges either. It's starting to bite. I'm starting to think my pillar drill is actually out of square. I really am. Because I'm getting a lot of raises. Because I'm using a pillar drill, you see. And I always go like one side and the other side when I drill the hole. And it's just, recently they're all going to the right. You know, I can fix it, it don't matter, but Yeah, it's biting now. Right, so now it's biting, you're kind of getting into the finer details. So look at the peening. Do they look similar? Yeah, they do. That one, this side, is standing a little bit proud. So I'm just gonna shape that a little bit. Got no sharp bits or anything. Normally always get a I'm putting that down to my new shiny ball. Definitely has improved things. So you don't even have to make one of these like the way I have. It's just because it's because I wanted to. You could get an old ball peening hammer like this, sort of, you know, they're next to nothing, especially if you buy them at like a yard sale or anything like that. And you could just get a piece of wood. You could put it so it's like, you know, the normal hammer down on the wood. Mark it with a piece of pencil. Dig it out with a chisel, or, you know, drill bit, loads of drills, and then dig it out. You could, as long as you've got like the flat part at the bottom of the wood relatively flat and it's got a positive kind of like connection to that wood, you could then use that expanding like the glue that foams, fill the hole with it, plonk your hammer in it, let it go off, cut it flush around with all the, and away you go really. Right, well, that is somewhere pretty near. I don't think that is actually catching the scales anyway, but I will do what I said I was going to do. So that's kind of it really. I've got no sharp bits on that or anything. What I do now is I get the 1000 grit and I gently open it up like that. Always hold it kind of like there, so I'm not sanding any part of my bloody razor, because it's one of my bugbears. I think I normally start at about 1000 grit and just give it a good sort of like, not too much on the 1000 though, because it's still quite abrasive and I don't want to take the domes off, you see, because a couple of times when I was first doing this I flattened them off too much and it bugged me. It's not, you know, no drama really, but it's definitely, yeah, so that needs to come around that wedge a tiny bit. Which we can still do, great. Yeah, it's perfect that side. Got a little bit sticking out there, file that. And then again with the wet and dry sandpaper. So there we go, man. We've got a lovely set of scales for, if I don't say so, probably one of the most prettiest razors I've ever handled and owned. But that's it. New ball peen hammer. Well, my anvil. Good to go, isn't we now? Yeah, it's definitely an improvement. I'm happy with that. Right, lovely. That is it. I'll see you later, gents. Have a good day.